Everyone who ends up reading manhwa goes through 3 stages. Stage 1, the art of binge watching. One day, your friend comes up to you and says, you should watch this anime. For example, for me, it was Attack on Titan. Now, back then, you're thinking that's just that nerdy Japanese cartoon shit that 400-pound middle-aged men with Cheeto dust on their fingers and their neckbeard watch. But one night, you're laying in bed, you have nothing to watch, so you go on Netflix, and it appears on your recommended. You give in and you watch it to see what all the hype is about. Next thing you know, the birds are singing outside, you go downstairs to take a piss, and your dad is munching on some crunchy nut cereal, and you lock eyes. Before you realize your fatal mistake, you lock eyes. And you pray that he doesn't notice the Marina Trench bags beneath your bloodshot eyes. He says, you're up early. All you can do is smile and nod because you have a headache with more pressure than what that submarine at the bottom of the ocean experienced. He walks up to you, puts his hand on your shoulder. He says, I'm proud of you, son. You're finally getting your shit together. Little does he know, shit's about to get a lot worse. You've just watched 20 episodes back to back. You're a fish and you've just fallen for the bait. You're hooked. Now what you're going to do every day, you're going to watch every single anime in existence continuously without stopping. It seems like it's never going to end until your supply runs dry. You've watched everything. That incredible momentum you've been building up has come to a grinding halt. What now? Then that same coconut-brained friend that recommended anime says to you in a conversation about, I don't know, fucking Jujutsu Kaisen, the manga was better. So I mean, fuck this friend. Jujutsu Kaisen's hard. What is he talking about? He's chatting shit. So what you do, you go home, you go onto some pirated website, you find the manga and you start reading. Now what you see is that it's right to left, it's in black and white, there's no color. You're like, why would people read this shit? And there's so much writing. I mean, Jesus Christ. But you give in, you want to prove your point, so you start reading. Read 1 chapter, you read 2 chapters. Next thing you know, you're on chapter 50 and you're reading like this. It's just rapid reading now. You're reading at the speed of light. And then soon you'll realize, wait, fuck, your gullible ass has fallen for the bait again. You are now hooked and dragged down another rabbit hole. Stage 2, manga is better. And so am I. You'll now realize how much better manga often is than to its anime counterparts. The story is more detailed, the characters are more fleshed out, and the artwork is way more impressive because they don't need to color it. So they can put as much time as they want into it. And because it's not an anime, you don't need to draw frame by frame. And because of this, anime often lacks the detail manga has. Because in manga, you just need to draw a panel. You don't need to do 500 to make an animation, you know? Makes sense. But also you'll realize more often than not that these stories will leave a lasting impression in your subconscious and you'll have an impact on the way you think. I mean, these stories are truly breathtaking if you consider the masterpieces like The Climber, Vagabond, Berserk. I mean, those are pretty generic and mainstream, but there's a reason they're mainstream, you know what I'm saying? And these masterpieces will leave a lasting impact on your consciousness. You'll realize how surface level anime often is. I mean, not all of them, obviously, but a lot of them are because they skip out a lot of bits in the manga that really are significant. And you also realize that anime rarely captures the beauty that manga panels have, you know? You'll think about slides like the Eren Yeager one, where he says some shit like, this is freedom, and he's above the clouds, but it's actually like the Titans mist from transforming, or something like that. The Jujutsu Kaisen, I Alone, and the Honored One panel. You know, people have been complaining about the quality of it, and it makes sense, to be fair. It doesn't match the manga, but can you ever really do that? And that's the edge manga has on anime. Now you realize anime no longer scratches the itch it once did. Stage 3. Manhwa. Now manhwa is like the Korean version of manga, however the difference is it goes panel by panel, one above another. So it's like a comic strip kind of. Now the difference is that it's sort of like stop motion animation the way it's done, because it's panel by panel, not side by side panels, if that makes any sense. And also it's colored. I mean, I don't know how I can explain how much better colored stuff is. I mean, not just aesthetically. I mean, you can see what's what, you know. Sometimes in manga the lines sort of blend together and you don't really know what you're looking at. It's just an amalgamation of lines sometimes. In an anime you can see the depths, you know. You can see that's the wall because it's brown or whatever. You can see everything separate and it gives it a lot more depth and just enjoyability when you're reading it, if that makes any sense. And I think Manhwa, in my opinion, is the perfect blend between manga and anime. It is, I think in my opinion, it is the medium with the most potential. More than manga, more than anime. And now luckily for you, you'll have a seemingly endless pit of content to consume, because there are so many manhwas and people have realized the popularity of stuff like Solo Leveling. They've been hopping on the bandwagon, you know, so they're starting pumping out more and more manhwa. And I hope with the newfound attention it's getting, we're going to see more and more people investing into the medium, and we're going to see a lot more masterpieces that rival stuff like Berserk and Vagabond and The Climber, as I said. And I think there already are some, like, in my opinion, I really like Ordeal. It's very good. Stuff like Ordeal, Unholy Blood, Existence, which we're talking about in this video. So now, picture this. An entity that has lived countless lives, each one in the body of a different organism, be it an animal or an insect, ranging from a raging rhino in the savannas of Africa to a dragonfly hovering above the Amazon River. After one life ends, another begins, be it in the form of one of the various different creatures that roam the earth, all leading to this existence becoming human. However, he has memories of each individual life that he's lived previously in the form of whatever animal it be. I mean, he has memories of his life as a dragonfly or as a rhino. No matter how long or short, he has memories of it all. And the common denominator responsible for the majority of deaths, undeserving, I might add, of the majority of lives that this being has lived, is humanity. Man's cruelty and never-ending greed has left an innate hatred imprinted on the main character's mind, leaving him with one burning desire: human extinction. Obviously not the best start, you know, but don't worry, it gets better. However, what is unique about this particular life, not just that he's human, is that he holds the abilities of each individual animal that he's been, that he can consciously tap into depending on the situation that presents itself. To soar the skies like an eagle, to toughen his skin like a rhino, the strength of a polar bear. However, each trait's capability is significantly amplified. For example, a barrage of bullets comes his way and it leaves not a mark on his body once he toughens his skin like that of a rhino. Now, will he gain a newfound appreciation and understanding for humanity and the way they behave, and empathize with them, or will he enact his millennia age-old vengeance? Existence is an ongoing manhwa that has really surprised me, and I'm shocked I don't hear more people talking about it online. Its storyline sets it apart from the majority of other manhwa that are trying to mimic other successful manhwa, like Solo Leveling example. I mean, let's be real about how many carbon copies are out there, giving you deja vu mid-chapter like you've seen this before, because you probably have. Each one with the same one-dimensional MC, devoid of any emotion or character or personality. I mean, I've never dropped so many manhwa in my life than I have this year. People have realized the popularity of manhwa with stuff like Solo Leveling and are hopping on the bandwagon. They're making carbon copies of other manhwas. Like, let's be real, how many manhwas have you seen where the plot is like this? Dungeons suddenly open on the earth, portals arise and monsters flood into the cities, destroying everything. All hope seems lost, but humans, superhumans, gain abilities, and they fight back, and they gain a unique position in society of power and form agencies where they recruit other superhumans, and they earn the title of hunters. I mean, there's probably hundreds. I know I've read that many. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's tiring. I mean, fuck me, I've seen that shit more than my parents, and I live with them. Sure, this sudden urge in popularity for manhwa is good and all. I mean, we're seeing more and more classics arise. However, for every 2 classics and original pieces of content we get 400 fillers that are just horrible. I mean, I'd hate having to filter through all of them to find something worth reading. And among the flood of manhwa and mangas I've read, Existence has left a significant impression on me that makes me come back to it diligently every week. The story starts with a boy named Ja-in and his mother Youngshil, who lost her family in the war, including her husband. All that she has left is her son, and she dedicates every waking moment to supporting him by working diligently all day, and ensures, whenever possible, to tell her son how much she loves him, only to be met with an unbothered, emotionless child who doesn't speak. However, Ja-in, who appears to not care, finds comfort in his mother's reassuring words. One night, when a group of men are harassing a man attacking him and beating him. A small silhouette appears atop a lamppost and descends and approaches them with inhuman speed, that of a cheetah, and knocks one unconscious with the strength of a prehistoric Argentinosaurus. In this moment, Jain realizes he can tap into the abilities of all animals he had lived as in his prior lifetimes. However, the human he intended to help, out of fear, shoots the young boy in the side, dropping him to the ground instantly. Moments later, the bullet, ingrained in Jain's flesh, rises to the surface and pops out, leaving not a mark on his body. However, he is lost in an unknown location and is tired and hurt and weakened. Since he is still a boy, he has not reached his true potential and power, making his only option to wander aimlessly in one direction until he stumbles upon help. He wanders for 4 days and his body finally gives in. As he lays on the floor defeated, he accepts his fate, death. Suddenly, a disheveled young shell appears from beyond the tree line and screams her son's name and holds him in her arms. Jain, bothered by the noise of his mother's wailing, for the first time, the thought-to-be mute boy says the words, "I love you," in an attempt of getting his mother to quiet down and stop making so much noise. However, it results in even more hysterical tears. However, Jain surprisingly doesn't complain and thinks to himself, the sunset that night was especially beautiful. From this moment, he settles on trying to lead a life of a human. Without hesitation, young Shil would protect her son, be it from bullies or the rumors from local elders. And whenever Jain was about to leave his mother to achieve his goal, his mother's warmth would reel him back in. One day he asks his mother why she fights so hard and she responds softly, "To protect you." This perfectly summarizes a mother's undying love for her son, no matter how odd they may seem. However, unbeknownst to the mother and son, a vindictive detective was on their trail, with the goal of uncovering Jain's secret. Human cruelty. Jain begins to contemplate how humans are the only ones who do not kill out of necessity like a hungry tiger, but out of convenience. Be it a snake for a wallet or the fur of a wolf for a winter jacket, and even for decoration to satiate and stroke man's ego. That is why they must die, to restore the natural balance of the earth. Humans are the outliers, the mistakes that never should have been. They pillage and destroy the planet for their own benefit and do not comply to the actual order. Thus, like any invasive species, must be culled. On a calm summer day, young Shil offers a cooked fish she had just caught to Jain to eat. Instinctively, Jain recoils from it and refuses to consume it, resulting in his mother eating it herself. However, soon after, she falls ill and becomes bedridden. Due to the pollution in the river where the fish was originally caught, the meat was contaminated. So when young Shil consumed it, the bacteria spread to her, attacking her immune system. Even in such a horrible state, she still offers up a bright smile to Jain to comfort him. While on the streets selling apples, Jain is approached by the detective and a group of men, resulting in him becoming detained. However, the detective accuses Jain of espionage, thus his mother is also in danger of getting the death penalty. An enraged Jain stomps his foot, rupturing the ground beneath him, resulting in all those around him losing their footing, then snaps the handcuffs off like they were a cheap prop from a costume store. He then speeds off into the distance, leaving the bystanders in shock, but not the detective, who boasts a sinister smile on his face. However, Jain states that he is being underestimated, that he can become anything he wants, and so that day he decides to become a disaster. Each chapter starts with Jain discussing the nature of humanity and the wrongdoings they enact upon the earth. This is unlike many other manhwa, as alongside its incredible art and fight scenes, it tackles many modern day political issues surrounding the ethics of the human race, which really opened up my mind as to what we do, even subconsciously, that harms the environment around us. The group of men appear before Jain's home, where his ill mother resides. She notices how they're trying to take her precious son away from her and tries to stop them, however is met with the fist of one of the men. In this moment, Jain states, "And just like that, I abandoned my sanity." Snap. Surrounding Jain, bodies of dozens of men, ripped into pieces, lay. His mother locks eyes with him and all she can do is cry. He has slaughtered all of them, and there's not a look of emotion on his face. When another batch of armed men appear, young Shil, even while knowing what her son is capable and how willing he is to end human lives, shields him, and claims she is the culprit who killed all those men. No matter how unbelievable, this frail, sick woman somehow managed to rip to shreds like a monster 20 men. For the first time, tears roll down the boy's cheek as he grips his chest. The detective raises his gun and aims it at his mother. Bang! He shoots. Ja-in blocked the bullet with his forearm. Noticing the attachment Ja-in has to his mother, the detective orders his men to shoot at young Shil. A barrage of bullets come her way and Ja-in stands before her unfazed, with holes in his clothing made by the rounds. However, before Ja-in attempts to slaughter the men before him once again, his mother covers him up with her frail body in between him and the men and whispers in his ear, "It's alright," as she is riddled with lead. She lays on the ground, cold, devoid of all the warmth Ja-in associates her with, dead. In a white, blindingly bright liminal space, young Shil appears before Ja-in and asks him to promise him to do one thing: live. In this moment, he realizes in order to survive and live like his mother wishes, he can't coexist with humans. He was born to drive humanity to extinction. Once more, surrounding Ja-in lies the corpses of the second batch of men, alongside the detective who caused all of this. In the detective's final breaths, he states that he was right and Ja-in needed to die. However, Ja-in retorts that he failed, and now every last human shall feel his wrath, and all that blood is on his hands. Ja-in is taken in by a warm man and receives love-filled food and accommodation. However, once again, his only source of happiness is snubbed out by fellow humans. However, for all the harm humans have caused him, the memories of the good ones still haunt him and lead him to hesitate in his plot for human extinction. However, he solidifies his resolve and raises the culprits for the kind man's death to the ground. In this moment, with all the bodies surrounding him, he realizes that human extinction is going to be harder to achieve than he prior thought. So he tests the limits of his abilities until he reaches adulthood, the peak of his strength. Once he reaches adulthood, he decides to cause a series of earthquakes that will eradicate the entirety of humanity. However, just before he goes through with it once more, he hesitates. In an attempt to once more solidify his resolve, he decides to visit civilization and see what humans are like now, and whether they're still deserving of their fate, death. However, now in the modern era, where forests filled with the scent of acacia flowers, motorways now reside, tons of plastics contaminate the once vibrant coral reefs and wash ashore, filling beaches with trash. He no longer feels hesitation and decides to kill them all now. As he stands in the middle of the motorway, a car suddenly bursts into view and bolts towards his direction without seeing him. But once the driver notices his presence, to the surprise of Ja-in, swerves out of the way and sacrifices themselves for this random stranger who's a lunatic standing in the middle of the road. It's his fault, yet she, the driver, sacrifices herself for him. Ja-in saves the car and its owner, who bears a striking resemblance to his mother. Now, I don't want to spoil the rest of this incredible story, so you can experience this for yourself. However, Ja-in forms a bond with this woman and ends up working a part-time job at a cafe, once more integrating himself into society for a short while, as he did when he was with his mother, battling with whether to still kill humanity or not. He faces various obstacles along his journey, be it Korea's military or other governments, and the main antagonist, a symbiote-like organism that's similar to him that wishes for human extinction and can overtake the mind of its hosts, be it thousands of humans or all the animals on the earth, However, Ja-in is always a little bit more powerful than it. However, he swears this time around he will not let the woman he cares for die again, no matter what, even if he has to raise the entirety of the earth to the ground. This manhwa's unique storyline, beautiful artwork, and incredibly fleshed out characters with significant depth makes for a memorable story that you should 100% check out. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, comment down below what you want to see next, leave a hate comment if you want to, who gives a shit, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.